So one of the problems is we're powerless.
Yes.
People don't know how to organize effectively.
Yes.
So we need community empowerment to address that problem.
Yes.
Great. So work on that. Okay. What about you?
I would say student participation in college general, not just here at Lehman. Just in general, I think it definitely helps with the college experience.
Okay. And why is that a problem?
Well, like, especially here, I would say only like 25%, this is roughly off the top of my head, like 25% of students are really involved with school. There's 75 come here to class and they leave. And they don't really get a college experience. Like, they get the school, the classroom thing, and then that's it. I mean, they don't really interact with other people. They don't develop like little, I guess like a little network of other things beyond just what you're studying.
Okay. So the ideal college community doesn't really exist then. They just come here, consume knowledge, and leave.
And
That's a problem.
I don't think it's only a problem for commuter schools. I think it happens also in where people dorm, because they feel like that's enough. Where they're dorming, they feel like that's enough campus life. They still don't get involved with events and such.
So people are so accustomed to being passive, they don't find the need to take action. So that's what we need to activate. Excellent. So work on that. What about you?
I really can't come up with something out of my head.
There must be something.
I mean, there is, but like, I don't know. I just can't narrow it down to just one thing.
Well, what's the most important thing? Or what are the two most important things you care about?
Well, mainly it's personal things like my family, things like that, you know. And then I overlook any society, any problem that might be to the society with my personal things first, regarding my family, and then I look into that the bigger thing, which is actually, I guess, the most important one in general.
Yeah.
So I really can't narrow it down.
Now, you see, that's, I think, one of the most important parts of the outline you form. All of you have stories, right? You have stories of problems you've encountered. When you do public speaking, you have to take your personal experience, your story, and translate it into some general context that people will understand. Because, I can tell you all about my family. Everyone has their own problems, their own challenges. But what they're looking for is some way to take your story and your details and translate into their experience. So maybe you have a family that isn't very happy. Identify why they aren't happy. Then see if there's a way to translate that unhappiness into a problem that you can solve. In my own experience, for instance, one of the things I've encountered most often is the immigration problem. People who are immigrants in this country, they face lots of difficulties trying to get their citizenship status. And I haven't been there. I've been to the INS. I've gone for a 10 a.m. appointment and it ends up being at 5 p.m. It's terribly inefficient. And that's something that I know personally, but it's also a universal experience. You have immigrants in this country who face this very complex, daunting system. And so then you identify people who have faced stuff like that. Even if they're just citizens, they face government regulations that are daunting or complex requirements for taxes. So you have to identify how your story connects with someone else. And that's what public speaking is at root. You're sharing. That's it. So yeah, maybe you can work on a story to share with us then, that you care about.
I'll try to think about something.
Okay, terrific. What about you? What do you care about?
I care about health.
Health?
Yeah, like how some people are destroying their health and by their lifestyle, how they don't eat properly or they don't exercise like at least 30 minutes a day. They're smoking too and drinking too much alcohol. Yeah.
So you want to save people from bad health.
Yeah.
And the problem is like obesity in this country, people eating too many sugar-rated foods, too many sugar-rated drinks, they get type 2 diabetes. There are a whole bunch of medical problems associated with bad health. So, if you can then identify a story or some way to address that, that's what you can work on. Terrific. What about you? What do you care about?
Well, I care about young children not deprived of an education, that are not getting education, and everybody, most people can make a difference, and they're not doing it. And I want to unite the young children in schools and professional baseball teams, basketball teams, soccer teams, and get them together and make like have them on the internet to have classrooms and to communicate, share resources, have education, have seminars like this.
Okay, so you've identified two problems. One is the lack of education, which is a universal problem. You have so many kids around the world who don't have access to good education. The second, you've identified the fact that they don't communicate with each other. They are not able to utilize the resources effectively. And one of the big resources is sports. You know, people go to sports games, there's so much advertising involved, so much money involved. So what you're saying is let's connect sports with school. And that way sports can provide the resources for education.
Yeah, exactly. You know, get them all together and, you know, where the kids can be having a good time and the sports team can actually be given some support for the children and creating different programs for them and making a difference not only in that school but around the world. Just
Okay.
making it grow.
Work on that. Work on a speech on that topic.
Try.
And what about you?
I have to say in relation to our school, or to our college, I have to say community support as
Or it could be something personal as well, not just CUNY.
no, I'm saying I mean that's one of the things I care about. As
Yeah.
far as financially, I don't believe CUNY gets as much support as for example a certain school does.
Yeah.
And therefore that leads to colleges not having enough scholarships or grants or no money to fund the programs at all.
Yeah.
So
So one of the big problems is that we're an urban school, and we're one of the newer schools, in fact, founded in the 1960s, and so maybe there isn't enough attention paid to us as there should be. There isn't enough allocation of resources as there should be at, say, like Hunter College or City College. And so then the problem then is maybe not intentional discrimination, but you know, de facto unintentional discrimination. And then the solution would be giving us more money, helping to get more resources to us. So, work on that. So, are you ready?
I'm still working on the outline of mine.
Okay.
I wish I had a piece of
Anybody have an outline ready?
It's hard without a pen and paper.
See, that's the thing. I mean, it does take practice. It takes a certain amount of ability to memorize the text. Like, for instance, I can see a whole sentence going before my eyes. And I can sort of read just what's going in front of me. Which is, not everyone has that ability. I mean, the new governor, Governor Patterson, he memorizes the whole text for his speeches. So what you'll find is that when you do public speaking, it is good to have a decent memory. I mean, even if you can't remember verbatim, word for word, every single thing you want to say, at least remember certain keywords or catchphrases. And one of my friends said that she knew a religious leader who, before he gave a speech, would have he would have a bunch of different keywords like fire or cold or new, and you identify the exact kind of temperament and the kind of phrase you want to use. So that's what most people do. And I'm fortunate enough that I have the ability to sort of, memorize lots of stuff and just go down a personal outline. But again, that requires practice and work, as well as lots of reading. So I've been doing this for about the past 5, 6, 10 years, so I know what I'm talking about. But not everyone is able to do that right away. So that's why all I want is just an attempt, a stab at public speaking. You don't have to be eloquent, but just giving some sense of what you identify as key problems. So, how about you? You want to give it a shot?
I have an idea, but I don't know what I said to say, but I just have the points to say.
Okay. So look, why don't you get up,
Well,
tell us what you care about as a problem, okay? That's it.
I was gonna say I kind of feel like we started off by identifying the problems that we had. You know, him with community, him with his family, and him with the CUNY and lack of education. I feel like that's kind of like a good way for us to start
Okay.
with public speaking.
So, you've already said it. So get up here and say it again. That's it. You already know what you're going to say, right?
That was different.
No,
my
it isn't
first
different.
from my first.
That isn't different.
point.
See,
No,
what-
it was
you s-
different
you
from
s-
my first point. It was two different
You spoke from your
problems.
heart though,